Avengers! Assemble.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Excelsior, the world's #1 Marvel's Avengers podcast. I'm your director, Christian Buckley. As always, joining me is the Apex legend, my co-host, Jack Martin. How are you?
I'm good. A very hearty Excelsior to you, Christian. Very happy that Kevin Feige and the Marvel gods bestowed upon us a magnificent bounty of gifts that we will discuss in length in this episode.
Yeah. As hosts of a Marvel podcast, yes, we are focused on being the world's #1 Marvel's Avengers podcast, right? But it feels like that's 25% at this point, rapidly declining. I feel like as Marvel content creators, we have been fed this week for like the next 8 months at least. There are so many different conversations that could be had just based off of last week, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Some may say too many.
Yeah, maybe. How are you though? How you doing?
I'm doing well. Been doing really nothing recently. The most exciting update I have is that I've been playing Power Wash Simulator recently.
Yes, dude.
That's a boatload of fun. Been trying to dive into some more Game Pass stuff. As Dusk Falls is probably next up for me. But yeah, nothing really Marvel related aside from what we're talking about. But what about you?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything Marvel related specifically. I have been talking to other friends about Avengers that are curious about it now that it is available on the new PlayStation Plus subscription in addition to Game Pass now. And I sent you this earlier today. Physical copy, $10 on everything. Wild.
For those collectors out there.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but once I picked up my PS5, second half of my PS4 life, I was all digital. I was like digital revolution, digital future. I like having discs on a shelf now, Jack. I own 2 PS5 games. That's 2 more than I expected to own a year ago.
It's nice. And honestly, I think the PlayStation 5 boxes are underrated. I love the white bands. They're very cool. PlayStation has always had some really slick box covers. And just seeing like all those white bands on a bookcase is nice. I've been like trying to grow it slightly. I have like a bookshelf's length worth of PlayStation 4 games, and I'd like to match that with my PS5 collection, but it's been very slow at this point.
For sure, because maybe that PS5 could do with having some more games on it, including some more Marvel games, which we'll be getting to later this week, because later this episode, there are rumors swirling from, I'd say, reputable places about future Marvel games, including one Black Panther. We got thoughts on Thor: Love and Thunder. I finally saw it. Apologies for the delay. Honestly, this is probably the worst week I could have seen it because of everything else that's going on. We got Avengers updates. We got San Diego Comic-Con updates. All of that on this week's Excelsior. So why don't we get into the nitty-gritty Fury's report this week. What's going on in Marvel's Avengers? The Cosmic Threat event is back. We're continuing on this cycle of I'll be generous and guess 5 events that this game has in circulation. Maybe it's 4, but Cosmic Threat is back. Go fight Monica. Run through some things. Get some rewards,
Yeah, that's the extent of the conversation about this.
Yes. But if you want to be doing other things running the event, and honestly there's probably some overlap just because of how events are structured, you might be running some vault missions. So from today as of recording, July 28th through August 4th, completing vault missions is going to earn you a bonus 1,000 units. I don't know if this is per vault. That'd be swell if it was, because I kind of like the vault missions, Jack.
Yeah, they're fun.
Like, I think that's my favorite, spoken like a true Destiny player, my favorite thing is just going up to a terminal and waiting for it to be activated.
Yeah, and doing some defense for a little bit. That's all good.
Yeah, I feel like that's like the most fun team activity in this game. And I'm not talking about like the hive floor where it's the exact same mechanic across like, you know which one I'm talking about? Like there's the raised thing on the left, the like railing section. Not that. Same thing, not really. The vault, though, is a good, fun activity.
Yeah, there's some semblance of coordination involved, so that's fun.
Yeah. same dates, both focused on one Natasha Romanoff, from the 28th to the 4th once again. All non-exotic, so no MCU skins, you chumps. Black Widow cosmetics half off. In addition, playing as Black Widow in this period of time will net you triple XP. Again, continuing the trend we've seen for the past couple weeks of hero spotlights, bonus XP stuff. And again, we've said it before, I'm a fan. I think that's cool. Incentivize people to get in there, maybe level up characters they've neglected. I sure have. Hulk. But yeah, pretty solid week.
Definitely.
What's going on in the marketplace?
Horniness, Christian.
Oh, yeah.
Horniness.
It sells.
Yep.
Sex sells, Jack. That's the first thing they teach you in business school. How would I know? I never went to business school, but that's what happens. That's how it works.
That's true. I can't confirm, but I also can confirm because that just seems correct. But yeah, they got the swimsuit edition here. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't it be great if they had a swimsuit calendar for this game? Just saying. Just throwing that out there. Anyways, they have the Black Widow, Thor, and I suppose Iron Man swimsuit editions, the skins for this. Black Widow's is pretty cool. Thor's is very like shiny and electric. Iron Man's, if you told me this was in a, let's say I don't know, pajama skin set, I would believe you, because he's wearing like gold boxer briefs and like a golden red t-shirt or like button-up shirt that's undone, and he has a like tank top on underneath that.
Yeah, it looks like one of those like gym bro hoodie vests, you know?
Yeah, this to me is a missed opportunity to do like Tony Stark in a Speedo, which I think would be funny.
Yeah, metallic Speedo. Mm-hmm. Metal swimsuit. There you go, you know?
Yeah. But
like, Iron Man 2, remember at the beginning of that movie they have like the girls in the Iron Man bikinis?
Yes.
Slap one of those on them.
Yeah. I think you can play around a lot with Iron Man for jokes, especially in this game. Mm-hmm. So this one's a little weird, but I think this is a harbinger of things to come.
Yeah, I am looking forward to seeing the Hulk variant of this. Very curious. I imagine for Hulk, they're probably going to go for like a Patrick Star look of like, oh, he's got swim trunks on. So just, you know, like Hulk, basically. Mm-hmm. Maybe give him a necklace or something. I don't know. But I feel like that skin is in the game already.
Yeah, no, you're probably right. It's hard to do a Hulk beach outfit since he just kind of always looks like that.
Have you ever seen the Resident Evil 2 remake Mr. X mod that did the rounds when that game hit PC of very large Hulk-like man in the skimpiest little thong you've ever seen?
No, I don't believe I did.
When I heard about this, I pictured that being Hulk, but I don't think that's what they would do because that was a community mod, and this is a Marvel licensed project from
right.
Crystal. So Hulk's gonna get some flip flops probably and like sunglasses, I bet. So
sure, with some sunscreen on his face. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's probably on the nose. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah. Kamala was probably going to be a lifeguard. I'll bet you that right now.
Yeah, that's a really good call.
Visor and fanny pack, you got it covered. So that's Avengers this week. Update though regarding the game. You can also look forward to, hopefully, we know that they're working on patrols. We know patrols are back on the menu. Was it Wasteland Patrol? Was mm-hmm. the thing that was announced on the old roadmap from a few years back?
Remember the roadmap?
No, I don't know what a roadmap is.
It's been forever.
Yeah. So Wasteland Patrols, I think, was initially supposed to hit last September and then got put on hold indefinitely. Reports, the notable leaker, Miller, saying that it's back on the table. In addition, alongside it, claiming that the reason it was shelved is because Crystal is trying to get drop-in co-op worked into the game. Because this is a thing that, again, another living world open zone multiplayer game, Destiny, can do is you can just, if you're playing on the Moonjack, I can say, this friend, join, I will spawn on the moon, as long as you're not in like a dead zone where there's a big battle going on.
Mm-hmm.
Avengers, you can't do that. Avengers, you got to squat up on the helicarrier or in the Quinjet and then load into your mission. So, again, this would be like a small quality of life improvement, but I think it would help the game just be easier for people to pick up, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And to clarify, I know a lot of people had issues like with the raid and all. Would you be able to join mid-raid, or is this more so like what you were saying, join in during, for example, the patrol?
So, because of how raids function in my familiarity with them, I would imagine mid-raid they would not let you join. Maybe there's a system, and this could already be in place, but like when you reach the checkpoint, maybe you could do that. But yeah, I would be surprised. I think this is mostly just missions, like Avengers Initiative missions that you're running, or maybe campaign missions.
Okay. And either way, good step forward.
For sure. That's it for Avengers this week.
That's it for Avengers like every week.
Yeah. But we are returning to the segment that we introduced a couple weeks ago, Across the Multiverse. I think that's what it was called. This time in the Multiverse, Jack, we are not jumping over to the world of DC. Instead, we are traveling to another reality of Wakanda. Jeff Grubb been speaking this week. You been listening?
Yes. Games Mess. What is it? Games Mess Live?
It was either Games Mess Live or Grub Snacks or Game Mess Mornings for Giant Bomb. It was one of those shows that he does.
That's what it is. I think it was Games Mess Morning.
Yes.
You ever listen to like a podcast and you're like, what the hell's the name of this thing I listen to every day? That is that show. But yes, the Jeff Grubb show.
Yes. So Jeff Grubb, you've heard him before if you listen to any gaming industry discussions. He has really made a name for having the scoops over the last few years. I think we've even talked about him on the show before with Marvel stuff. But he is leaking a future Marvel game. A Black Panther video game is being worked on by a new studio, completely brand new from the ground up, operating in Seattle. Game is being published by EA.
Yeah, this sounds fantastic. I'm eternally stoked for this.
So, I start there, right? Because traditionally, gamers hear EA, they wince. You know, it's like, EA, no, I don't want that. Why instant in? Why excitement?
I'm kind of over the EA hate at this point because I feel like, and you alluded to this in your show notes, with recent games, particularly Respawn games, which I honestly think Respawn has shaped the future of EA in a lot of ways. I think I have more faith in EA than I used to, let's say, like 5 years ago, maybe even longer. And they've had some turnarounds with like Battlefront 2 and things like that in recent years. So I'm not fully in on the EA hate anymore. If this, like, I still have reservations with Ubisoft and other publishers like that, like Square Enix. Obviously, we're very familiar with Square Enix at this point and their tribulations. But that really isn't a red flag for me at this point anymore. So I'm mostly just excited for the content of what we're getting here and like some of the, I know it's very little, but the idea of a Black Panther game, an open world Black Panther game, by some of the people who made the Shadow of War games, Middle Earth games, does excite me. And we've talked offline about how those games aren't like fantastic, but
yeah, I very much don't like them.
Yeah, at least from a gameplay perspective, they play like Assassin's Creed in a lot of ways. So that has me excited.
Yeah, they're functional. They're solid games, you know. I think it's just, as a fan of Lord of the Rings, because I've been watching the movies again recently, I was like, let me try for like at the 18th time to get into Shadow of Mordor, and I just can't get past the first, like, I think I made it 3 hours at max, and I love Assassin's Creed, especially the old ones. Interested in some of the newer stuff, but yeah, like that sort of approach to an open world is solid. I think it's a proven formula. I think what hurts me is that like you have so much you could do with a Lord of the Rings game, and it's just so cookie cutter in a lot of ways. Not even within like open world stuff, but just like game trends where it's like, oh yeah, protagonist family was killed. You want revenge, you get a friend. His family was also killed. So like narratively, I'm glad it's not a narrative director working on this Black Panther game that did those games.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, I'll also say about that game real quick. For me, at least, I think the Lord of the Rings lore is like completely unapproachable. Like there's no really in point. Like if you watch the movies and just get what's happening within that trilogy, then you're great. But if you try to expand to anything like in the past or anything, it is impossible, and that does not interest me whatsoever. So that kind of that's why I didn't love those games.
For sure. So you've brought up most of the key points that Grubb has mentioned because he doesn't really have many specifics, like new studio, published by EA, like you said, same director that worked on the Middle-earth games. The other interesting note that he dropped, in addition to the structure being open world, the player character, and people spun off into a tizzy over this, the player character must go through the challenges of becoming Black Panther, because at the beginning of the game, the current standing Black Panther dies. And this set off the internet. It's like, is this a character creator? Why are we just suddenly going to have T'Challa be dead and everything? How is this character creator going to be handled? Can you make a white Black Panther? And Jeff Grubb, in his thing, said they very much do not want the person to be playable as a white character taking up the mantle of Black Panther. Like he said, EA and the devs very much do not want to do that, although he does not know if we will be playing as an original character from the studio, a Marvel character who has been Black Panther before, T'Challa. He has no idea. So when you hear player character, where does your mind go? Because I think easily T'Challa could still fall under these guidelines that are listed out here.
Yeah, that's certainly possible. It seems like they may want to, and maybe Marvel in general maybe wants to move away from T'Challa just to let Chadwick Boseman have that character. Obviously, Avengers had Christopher Judge come in and voice T'Challa himself.
Did a great job. Also
yeah,
worth mentioning.
Yeah, did fantastic. But it's entirely possible that maybe Marvel wants to move away from that character out of respect in some way. But like what you said, it's also possible that they just used that as a synonym for Black Panther, like player character.
Yeah.
But in that instance, like, why not just say T'Challa? So it's so, like, we of course believe Jeff Grubb, like he knows so much in the industry, so we definitely take this as fact, but it's also like we don't know anything aside from what he said. So it's hard to really confirm anything.
Yeah, and I don't remember if he gave like a timetable or an implication of how long this game has been in development. It is incredibly early, so like there's a chance that this thing doesn't even ever get announced and just gets canned. You know?
Right. Yeah, it seems like it's very, very, very early in the process.
But another tidbit that he dropped later in that episode, I kept the whole thing on just because I was curious to see if there were any other tidbits he'd drop. At the beginning of the show, he did say there are other Marvel games that he's heard about going on right now. And towards the end, he did say, just to avoid any speculation, the other game I've heard about is also under EA. So, interesting.
That is interesting. I don't know what that would be.
I hope it's a Respawn game, I think.
Ooh, Respawn Marvel game?
That would be my hope, you know? Or maybe, could you maybe have, like, I don't know, could you have DICE do something? Like a single-player campaign type game? Like maybe Punisher? I don't know.
I don't know. Dude, I would love... Punisher would be, for a shooter, sure. I would love a Daredevil game. I don't know what EA studio would take that up, though.
Yeah, I would also love a Daredevil game. I feel like simply off how that character plays, that would just have to be Insomniac doing like a standalone spin-off Miles Morales
Mm,
style thing.
true. Or
But
Rocksteady. I mean,
that'd be cool.
go play at Nightwing. That's pretty much Daredevil.
Yep, nailed it. So overall, though, when do you expect this? I
Oh,
guess.
PS6.
Yeah, you're
in,
right.
in the in the way that like big AAA games are developed these days, this is probably at least half a decade out.
Yeah, and again, I wouldn't even hold my breath on this thing becoming real. Like anything could change. That studio could shut down. A recession's coming. Gaming is gonna get hit by that. So like, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I'm with you. I am more positive on EA now than I am most of the other big AAA publisher third party groups. So
Yeah.
at
No,
least by their
I'm
output.
with you.
So we'll see what happens out of that. We'll keep an ear to the ground on other Marvel games across the multiverse in the coming weeks. But let's talk a little bit about Thor: Love and Thunder, Jack.
Yes, I gave my brief impression, so I want to hear what you thought about this movie.
I got potentially a controversial take after catching up on some of the discourse around this film.
Okay.
I think it has the same writing style, the same humor, and the same Taika isms throughout the entirety of this project that exist in Ragnarok. In addition
Okay.
to that, I think it improves on the weakest point of Ragnarok in that the villain is so well woven into the themes and plot of the movie to the point where when they pivot from an emotional moment to a humor moment, it works for me and it feels like I'm watching the same movie. Not like I'm watching a very funny Thor movie and then I'm watching The Dark World for 10 minutes and then back to the funny movie and then back to The Dark World. Like, I don't like rewatching Ragnarok sometimes because of the pace and because of what Hela does to that movie. And I think Gore and Bale's performance and the way his character exists in the story just makes the movie flow way better, in my opinion. In
Do you like it
addition to
more than
having the same
Ragnarok?
humor, I don't know yet, but I think it's at least close to being like I look at this movie the same way that I look at Ragnarok, and I think that's why I'm a bit confused by some of the like the vitriol around it. You know?
Yeah, that's good. Dude, I have nothing nice to say about this movie. Nothing nice to say.
You don't like Bale?
Yeah, I like him enough. I honestly think he's very underutilized in this.
For
It
sure,
seems
yeah.
like he was only in a few scenes. And I know there's a lot of cut content from this movie. But, I mean, I'll tell you what. The thing I actually really enjoyed about the movie was the one instance where they go to the moon or whatever that was, and
Oh yeah.
all the color was stripped away. It looked visually impressive. His acting in that was incredibly impressive, and that is where the extent of my praise to this movie goes.
And you're a big fan of Ragnarok, right?
Yeah, not as I'm kind of with you. I'm not as big a fan as everyone else is,
Yeah.
but I do enjoy it. It's one of those like you can put it on at any point.
Yeah, like Ragnarok is in my top 10 of the MCU, but I've never like been like, "Oh, this is clearly the best one," the way that some other people are, right?
Yeah,
And he like that's kind of why I was watching this one and I was like, "Okay, I completely understand why there are people that don't like this." And I think I rated it lower than Ragnarok, but I don't think it's like completely I think I've definitely seen the takes of like Ragnarok is number 1, Love and Thunder is number 33, and I don't understand that. I'm like, what did you like about Ragnarok then, if that's how you view this?
yeah. I agree. Like it does follow like a similar tone set up by Ragnarok, but I would say this movie more so than Ragnarok really is oversaturated with jokes. And like I think that was definitely present in Ragnarok, and I think a lot of people were like, "Yo, this tone is completely different from what we've got with Thor." So that was kind of an adjustment period. But at least from my perspective, I think the jokes in this movie were just really unfunny. Like there were, I think the one like through line joke that I thought was pretty funny was the Stormbreaker Mjolnir like sort of disagreement. Like I thought that worked, but like the goats never worked for me unless apart from like the moon sequence where they landed on that and like crash landed into it, but that I thought was used too much. I don't know. It just kind of felt. It just wasn't funny, even though like it tried so hard to be funny. And I like talk about movies like Into the Spider-Verse, which I think is like effortlessly funny. Like doesn't even feel like they're trying, but it just is. This movie felt like it was really trying to be funny, and I didn't find it really that funny at all.
Yeah, I think maybe the reason it comes across that way, because I only laughed like twice, and maybe both of them were at Guardians, maybe 3 times, but two, like the Guardians use in this made me laugh a few times. And yeah, I'm trying to think, like, I don't know, like maybe a couple of Thor's one-liners in like the middle or towards the end got me, but yeah, I think maybe part of the reason that it feels that way, because I am with you, I think the movie like never outwardly was like, oh, this is super funny the way that some other MCU stuff is because it doesn't have the, not low points, but like it doesn't have the hella moments that like make it feel like, oh, there's actually a story going on, you know? Where Ragnarok gets the pinball between that constantly, and here it's all woven in under the same through line in a way, because like I think with Love and Thunder, the themes of this movie being like love conquering all, like valuing what you have, and like time, it works better through the villain than I think Hela works with the themes of Ragnarok, which is very focused on like colonialism and like self-identity, where she kind of just exists to be a bad person that we need to beat up at the end of the movie. Like she does, like we're told a lot of like how bad she was and all the things that she did to the realms with Odin, but like I can't think of an instance in Ragnarok that like outwardly shows like how Hela is connected to the themes of that movie the way that Gore is in this movie. And I understand like the execution in this is not perfect, and like I said, I did not laugh for most of the movie, but I think that's the reason why I give it a bit of a level playing field with Ragnarok, I guess.
Right. And going back to the Gore comparison with Hela, I do wish they used Gore like way more.
Yeah.
I wish we got more of his perspective. And at points, I wish they weren't like super over the top with him being evil. Like it seems like they could have gone down a path of, oh, he's kind of right. And like you get points of like you see all the other gods in this, just being like hedonistic beings and like not really caring about other people. And you could have like a really poignant moment and being like, he's kind of right. Like what's the point really of all these guys? And I think that could have been made for a really interesting villain. But he kind of just shows up, takes the kids, goes to the Shadow Realm, and then waits for Thor. Like that, there's no real insight into his mind. It's, I don't know, that was kind of unfortunate.
I did appreciate that he never like outwardly threatened any of the kids, and like he didn't kill any of them, because I think they could have easily done that to like heighten the stakes, but, and I understand he's corrupted by the sword, but it did feel like like they open on Gore and his daughter, right? And you see how important that like selfless love for her was to him. So I appreciate that, like, yes, he used the kids as a tool to motivate Thor, but like he, in like a sick, twisted way, corrupted by the sword, he was trying to like make sure that they were not being harmed, right? Like he was doing those weird like puppet tricks with the dead things, which like I guess at that point in time he was like, oh, they'll enjoy this. So him entertaining the kids, and like the one scene we had of him with the children didn't, like, it felt authentic to how they set him up to me. So I thought that was solid, but Yeah, could have definitely used more development from him.
Yeah. Can I say something about the visuals in this movie, which I was like kind of surprised by?
Sure.
I hate how this movie looks. I
Really?
think it looks awful. This is the one. This used the volume, I believe, and this is the one time I was like, "Oh man, this like kind of reminds me of how like actors in the prequels felt like they were not in the real location."
Hmm.
It just felt like a lot of I feel like the direction too, like when they went to, I'm forgetting, like the wherever the gods were, omnipotent city maybe, that felt really gaudy. So I feel like the visuals just kind of didn't look that great, and I also really disliked the suit that Thor was wearing throughout, and that kind of clashed against the background. So this was like the one point where I was like, oh, maybe the volume shouldn't be used for movies. Like this kind of looks really bad.
I wonder what that is gonna evolve into, right? Because I think Guardians 3 is also using it,
Yeah.
and Guardians 2 I think is one of the best looking CGI showcases in the MCU, and I'm curious to see how James Gunn uses the volume. And I mean, I think Tyga's had experience with it before because he directed an episode of Mando, so I'm hoping it's more of a fine tuning thing for like whatever differences they have for a film production versus a Disney Plus production. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, honestly, I didn't even like notice the voluminous of it. I think yeah, the Heimdall sun thing that I saw online, and
Oh, that was some Disney Channel stuff.
yeah. So what's funny is I saw that like the week the movie came out. I saw that online. I had no idea it was from Thor, and I think like a couple days before I saw Love and Thunder, I was like, that was from Thor, and like I saw it on TikTok of just like that screenshot as a reaction meme, and I was like, what is this from? Better Call Saul? Is it something else I'm not watching right now? Like, what is this? Like,
No, that's from Halloween Town too.
yeah, exactly. Calabar's Revenge.
Yes.
But yeah, like I was entertained by it. I don't think it's like in a completely different field than Ragnarok is. I enjoyed watching it because it was just smoother than Ragnarok, I think, for me. And I love 2011 Thor. I like Jane. It was cool seeing her in here. Darcy's in this movie, so
Yep.
hell yeah, shout out. How did you feel about Jane?
Dude, Christian Bale's the only person I like in this movie.
Okay.
So I don't love Thor at this point. Jane, I really liked having her in here. I would have cared for a little bit more of her becoming Thor.
Sure.
That seemed like it was cut out of the movie. I think there was a scene of her like actually like getting the
Yeah,
hammer.
that was the behind the scenes photos we saw. I think she was on like wires or something in that set where the hammer was.
That's sad. I feel like I would have loved that. That it seems like again the comedy sort of changed her character in the same way that Thor became a different type of character in Ragnarok. So that took some getting used to. I did like their interplay though, between Chris Hemsworth and Natalie Portman. I liked the sort of hidden joke at the end of the movie that they kept between themselves. I thought that was a really good choice.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, I don't know if I thought she was fine. I suppose I didn't like straight up dislike her, but I also thought Valkyrie was underused.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was really disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like the lead up. I feel bad for the actors because I feel like this wasn't their fault, but the lead up was like, oh, the king needs to find her queen and all that, and that just didn't happen in this movie. So that I feel like that put them in a bad spot.
Yeah. Did you see that Tessa Thompson's going to be in the Marvels?
No, I didn't. That's cool.
Yeah, I don't know if that's official or if it was a rumor, but yeah, we know her and Brie Larson are friends, and they are absolutely shippers of the
Yes.
Carol Valkyrie type. So I imagine they're trying their hardest to make that a thing.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So, but yeah, like I liked Jane. I liked her arc. I liked the story she had with Thor and like how their relationship sort of resolved, and that Thor kind of grew to like let go and allow her to be her own person and make her own choices. Like that, I thought a lot of the arcs and themes in this movie were pretty basic, but to me they landed fine enough that I was like, okay, yeah, that was solid. That was mid tier. I wouldn't put it down at the bottom of my ranking overall. It's probably like in the teens, low teens. I'd imagine, maybe like low 20s.
Like the movie itself.
Yeah, out of my
okay.
overall ranking.
Yeah, mine.
I have it in a multiverse saga ranking now.
Okay, yeah, let me hear that.
So yeah, as we'll get to in like a minute, I started a multiverse saga ranking now that we know the name of the saga.
I did that too. Now that you did that, that's a
yeah.
really good idea.
Yeah, it makes the ranking feel like it matters again.
Yes.
So I gave it 3.5 stars. Oh, also I'll say I liked the ending. I liked the resolution with the daughter. I thought that was cute.
I'm a little torn on that. I feel like I need the next movie for me to go back and watch this. Be like, oh, sweet, this is where she got her start. Right now, I'm just like, I can't really care for you because I don't know you. But I appreciate the sentiment, I suppose.
Yeah, and I thought it came full circle with the themes and the villain well and the title. Right. And I did notice like early in the movie, I was like, we haven't done like a title shot yet. And then the big reveal. Oh, your name's Robin? Like that was what we got out of this.
Dude, I love the Robin reveal. I know people don't like that. I'm all for that. No changes. Yeah. Approved on my end.
So, Letterboxd spammed me with like 10 different ads.
Yeah, dude. I did that same thing happened to me when I opened it.
So, currently pre-Love and Thunder, my Multiverse Saga ranking is What If, Eternals, Hawkeye, Black Widow, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Moon Knight, Loki, WandaVision, Spider-Man No Way Home, Multiverse of Madness, Ms. Marvel, Shang-Chi. That is how I have the Multiverse Saga ranked currently.
Where's Thor in that?
Thor, I think, would probably be number 7 beneath Loki, above Moon Knight.
Okay, cool. I have What If at 13, Eternals at 12, Hawkeye at 11, Black Widow at 10, and then and then I put Thor at number 9, and then I have Moon Knight at 8, Falcon at 7, Loki at 6, Ms. Marvel at 5, Shang-Chi at 4, Doctor Strange at 3, WandaVision at 2, and then Spider-Man at 1.
We have almost an identical bottom half.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as you were reading it. And for I'm still doing the overall MCU ranking, even though it doesn't mean anything anymore. Thor Love and Thunder for me is at number 28. It is below Thor 1 at 27 and above Iron Man 2 at 29.
So I haven't slotted it into an overall ranking, but I have Moon Knight at 18, so I'd probably have Love and Thunder be the new 18.
Mm-hmm.
I would guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I got to rewatch some of these, I think.
Yeah, man. Every time I look at my ranking, I'm like, is that really where I put that?
I know, dude. And that's my problem, too, because in my overall ranking, I have contradictions, because I have Doctor Strange at 4, and I haven't ranked Ms. Marvel in the overall one yet, but I have Ms. Marvel above Strange in the Multiverse Saga one. It's a lot to think about.
It's a mess. And after what we're going to have soon, it's going to be even messier.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of, meanwhile, San Diego Comic-Con 2022. Marvel Studios returns to Hall H.
Real quick, were you happy with this? Because we had high expectations. And I'll say, I was pretty happy.
Oh, yeah. This was way more than I expected.
Yeah. We didn't get, like, mutants or anything, but I mean, with what we got, I'm very pleased.
Yeah, the mutant saga is coming. I can tell you that. That's probably going to be Phase 7. But Jeez, saying Phase 7. Oh my
I
God.
know, that felt wrong.
I know. Yeah, I was pleased. And you were as well, you said?
Yeah, really enjoyed it. The only missing parts I think that would have been great was some mutant stuff. I do think we'll have mutant projects before Phase 7. I'm not so sold on the mutant saga yet at this point. I feel like they'll just be a part of the MCU, but I think we'll get stuff in Phase 6. There are some like opening slots that we'll mention, but yeah, loved it. This was great. I was following along as you were on with Kind of Funny with their like tweet decks that they had going on, and that was pretty interesting. We had some really great stuff come out of this, so excited to talk about it.
Briefly, we'll recap the Friday animation panel because there is some MCU relevant stuff that came out of that. What If Season 2? They showed off some concepts. I cannot tell you for the life of me what some of those were from my memory. But the big takeaway was that a Season 3 was confirmed. So What If is going to be around for at least the next 2 years. So buckle up.
Yeah, I have to get in the mindset that this doesn't matter, and this is just additional. So, whatever.
Yeah. I think for the sake of listeners, Agents of Excelsior, and us, when What If rolls up again, we're not going to review it. No. I don't think. If there's a killer episode, because I'm probably not going to watch all of them. If there's one that I'm interested in, maybe I'll watch that one, and then we can talk about that. But yeah, I'm not committing to a full watch along of those.
No, we could do like a season in review sort of thing, touching on it quickly. But I think that was in the way they released it. I think really killed the hype for this. Where it's like, ugh, this is what we're getting for the next 6 weeks.
Yeah, not a fan.
No.
What I was a fan of with What If, though, kind of, was the Marvel Zombies episode, which should have been longer, right?
Yeah, that was probably my favorite.
I think so, too. I mean, I really loved the T'Challa episode, but this was probably number 2.
Right.
The Marvel Zombies spin-off, Standalone, has been detailed a little more. We know some cast members, we know what the Survivor crew looks like, but most importantly, we know it's going to be TVMA on Disney Plus, committing to the gore and mature violence of the Marvel Zombies comic line. How does this make you feel?
This is fantastic news. And I feel like the floodgates are open on Disney Plus now. I feel like they don't care. They have Deadpool 1 and 2 and Logan up there now, which are very gruesome. And this being TVMA, like no holds bars. Like this is fantastic. I know there's like a bunch of other details with this, but I think you're right. That's the most important thing is that we're going to get like a true Marvel Zombies show out of this. Or what is this, a movie? I don't even know what this is.
I think it's a series. I'm pretty sure.
Series, yeah. Well, TVMA. So yeah. So no, that's pretty fantastic. It seems like they're going to continue using the What If animation style, which I'm not a fan of. But I mean, if the story's good, I'm all in. Yeah.
What was cool though, I don't have the image pulled up because there was a lot of like off-screen photos and stuff that came out online. The Survivor post-apocalypse crew team has like Yelena, Ms. Marvel, Shang-Chi. I think Jimmy Woo is there as well. So that's going to be a fun cast to see interact, especially if some of the characters get their respective actors returning. Because I believe I saw Elizabeth Olsen is going to be doing the Wanda voice for Marvel Zombies. And she wasn't the Scarlet Witch voice for What If, so.
Yeah, I know a few of the actors are coming back.
Yeah.
It seems like a more produced version of What If.
Yes. So this one, maybe we will do a watch along because I think this could be cool.
Yeah. No date on this one, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah. And this is like not technically in the Multiverse Saga.
Right.
So that makes sense.
For sure. More animation stuff. We got a trailer. This is one of the few trailers that was released out of this event. I Am Groot, the series of shorts. I think there's 5 of them. They're all dropping the first week of August.
Yeah. I think it's like 20 minutes in total.
That's nice.
Yeah. These are like the Pixar shorts before or after Pixar movies.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool.
Yeah. And I know they're shorts, so probably will be the reason behind the all at once drop, but like at the very least, I hope that we dance around the idea of maybe like 3 What If episodes at a time,
Yep.
or maybe Marvel Zombies a couple chunks at a time. That'd be nice.
Yeah,
So
I feel like they've got to be hearing. Some shows just don't need to be week by week. They can just drop.
yeah, I agree. X-Men 97 got a big blowout at the end of the animation panel. It is releasing late next year, and it has already been greenlit to get a season 2. Jack, I know you have some experience in history with the 90s Spider-Man cartoon,
Yes.
however light that may be. Do you have any with X-Men?
I maybe have seen an episode or two. I've certainly seen the memes, and I've seen like a couple scenes here and there. That seems like it is a tough show to revisit.
Really?
Like, doesn't seem like it really would probably hold up very well in terms of like animation and storytelling and things like that. But again, haven't seen it, so I'll have to watch it before this comes out. But that's sort of my impression.
Yeah, and it's nice to hear that, like, with, I think, a couple changes just for, like, being respectful to ethnicities of characters in the actual show being played by accurate actors. The entire living cast is returning to their roles. Like, Steve Blum is Wolverine again.
Hell yeah.
Which is exciting. And I, like you, have not seen the original run of this show, but as of now, it is in the correct release order, or not release order, but story order on Disney Plus, which
Good God, why do shows do that?
I don't know.
Clone Wars is still not even like that on Disney Plus.
It's not.
Still got to use my guide.
Yeah. And I've had the Batman the Animated Series Blu-rays since December of last year. I still haven't thrown it in there because I'm like, what disc is the first episode on? I don't want to be popping discs out left and right. So, man, animation in the 90s. What was going on?
Yeah, very weird.
And yeah, I've gone back to the Spider-Man 90 show a bit just to throw an episode on if I need background noise, and it's still fun. So I imagine I'll get something out of X-Men,
Yeah, no, I agree. And I feel like I'm more excited about like the new X-Men 97 than I am to revisit the older.
Sure.
But I will before the show comes out.
Mm-hmm.
I just think with like sort of like new storytelling, as well as I honestly didn't even get a good look. Is this new animation?
It's the same, like,
Style.
character looks.
Okay.
So,
All right. Yeah. I mean, I think just like with the modernization of some animation as well as storytelling, I'm pretty excited for the new seasons. And
Yeah.
like, come on, we haven't had an X-Men thing, like a good X-Men thing, in for quite some time. So, pretty hyped for that.
speaking of not having quality animation for a group or character, Spider-Man. I don't think I've heard things about the recent Spider-Man cartoons. The last one I watched was like I watched a little bit of Spectacular Spider-Man. That was probably like 2008 or 9. That was great. But everything since then I hear has been god-awful. Spider-Man freshman year, though.
Mm-hmm.
Sounding pretty good. It's not canon anymore, though.
No, that was a really big surprise. Didn't they say it was?
They did.
Or like they alluded to. Did they specifically say canon, or did they say we're following like how Peter Parker became Spider-Man?
I believe, because I think I saw people retweeting the announcement tweet from last year, and it said canon MCU.
Okay. That's a weird pivot, but I understand why with the details we'll get into.
Yes. So saw tons of concept art, saw a bunch of different things. Confirmation. I think the only returning actor to a character in this show, because Tom Holland is not voicing Peter Parker in this, Charlie Cox is going to show up as Daredevil in this show, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool. Also, I pulled up the Disney Plus Day 2021 announcement, and it says the animated series follows Peter Parker on his way to becoming Spider-Man in the MCU.
Yep.
So they pivoted at some point.
Yeah. I wonder why. I've seen some people starting to worry that Tom Holland isn't going to come back. Right?
Well, I wasn't expecting him in this show though.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, like, I think because people are like noticing the pivot and the fact that it's like
Gotcha.
retelling the same arc that our Peter went through, except with substitution of characters, that maybe we're like rewriting what happened in the MCU after it kind of got erased with No Way Home. I don't know,
I see.
man. Interesting stuff.
Yeah, but honestly, it's great to have the Daredevil like renaissance that we're having.
Oh yeah,
Like he's showing up in at least 3 or 4 projects in the next few years. Like, come on.
it's in the next few weeks, Jack.
Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, it rules. Ever since I was introduced to Spider-Man and then played the PS1 Spider-Man game when I was introduced to Daredevil,
Yeah,
I'm
dude.
always looking for the two of them to team up again. So
That's the one. That was the absolute one where he's swinging in like on these 100-foot tall buildings with his fucking nunchucks. Like, what is going
Yeah.
on? It was so sweet.
love that game. So yeah, seeing him show up here is awesome. Seeing the animation style, or at least the art direction, I'm a very big fan of how this looks. I don't know if you feel differently, but like
No,
specifically that Doctor Strange art, dude.
yeah.
Oof.
I wholeheartedly agree. It's like the old like 60s comics
Yes.
style. I think that was a really, really good choice. And compared to what we've seen with like What If, which I kind of dislike that animation style, I think this was a really smart choice, and I'm all for this.
Yeah, granted we haven't seen it in motion, right?
Right.
But the art direction, like you nailed it. It looks like classic golden age Marvel, and I love that. I love that they're bringing that back to a modern context and telling what seems to be a really cool classic Spider-Man tone high school story, right? Because we see like Doc Ock, we see, I don't know if we see Goblin, but we see the Osborns, we see Scorpion, and an entire rogues gallery of people. So
Yeah, this one is exciting. I understand why they wanted to pivot from the MCU because they're bringing in like so many different villains, like Doc Ock is in here and stuff like that. So I kind of get why they did that, and it lets them sort of do their thing without being impeded by the MCU, I guess. Would have been nice to see Tom Holland Spider-Man like get his origin, but I kind of figure this will be largely similar in some ways.
so looking forward to that in 2024. And
Way later than I expected.
yes, exactly. That was my same exact reaction. Similar to X-Men, though, it was also already greenlit, so Spider-Man's sophomore year is a thing that will be coming at some point as well.
That's cool. Love the name.
For sure. That was the animation panel. Good appetizer.
Yes.
Then Saturday happened, and oh boy, we got a lot of stuff coming in the MCU. Let's start with the easy thing. Phase 4 is over this year. Did you expect that at all?
No. And I think Kevin Feige heard us a little too much last week when we were like, we kind of want Phase 4 to be over. It kind of is. Man, we need to have like this will be a later discussion, but we need to have like we need to have a discussion about Phase 4. What a weird phase. I phrase it as the hangover phase of the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
It's just real weird. But yeah, it's ending with Black Panther.
I think in the gap between She-Hulk ending and Black Panther 2, I'm gonna binge Phase 4. So I feel I can see it all in close proximity. Binge the shows. Hopefully, I like some of them more, and just have a better perspective on it, because it's just been so scattered and so different that I do want to have that conversation. But I think I need to like recontextualize myself on some of this.
No, I'm with you. That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. So Phase 4 ends this year with the release of She-Hulk being the final Disney Plus series of Phase 4, and Wakanda Forever being the final film of Phase 4. Now, Were we told that Phase 4 would include Quantumania in the past?
I don't think that was clear.
Yeah.
They never really did. They did like halfway, or I guess more than halfway, probably 2/3 of Phase 4 in 2019 with their timeline, and like announced like other projects like Blade and stuff like that. But they never were like, "Hey, this is the end of Phase 4." Like we speculated, and it seemed very obvious that Fantastic Four was going to be the end. Phase 4, not true. In fact, it's a whole separate phase away. And yeah, Ant-Man Quantumania seemed like there were so many projects that seemed like it was Phase 4, like Secret Invasion, Guardians, like anything that's in Phase 5 seems like it was in Phase 4, really. But they're not.
Yeah, the only thing that we knew for sure was Phase 5 was Blade.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I think because that was the first one they announced, we all assumed that would be the first Phase 5 thing.
Right.
Not the case.
No.
While we're here talking Phase 4, though, we only got 2 trailers as the public out of this event. There were a couple other things that they showed that we did not see official footage of. She-Hulk got a new trailer. Wakanda Forever got a new trailer. Let's start with She-Hulk. It sounds like people are coming around on the animation. It looks like the CG has improved since that last showing. They've also had a lot of comments come out of Comic-Con of like, oh, it's a half-hour comedy sitcom sort of thing. The trailer showcased a lot of Bruce Banner, and it sounds like there's going to be a lot of Bruce Banner in the show, in addition to a little tease of Matt Murdock, Daredevil, being here. So what did you think of this new trailer? Has it changed your meter at all with She-Hulk?
I think it's certainly a much better trailer than the previous one, and like far less distracting. I'm trying to go into this show with like very lower expectations. Just think this will be like a fun sort of jaunt. That's kind of where I'm at. I went in to Ms. Marvel with very low expectations and came out very positive. So trying to do the same for this show. But how about you?
Yeah, I think I'm going to have a fun time with it. I'm not going to take it too seriously. Like, it's very clearly tongue-in-cheek. She's breaking the fourth wall a good amount, which apparently she does in the comics a lot, too. So, I'm on board, you know? Hulk has been such a weird beast with Marvel for the longest time that if we can just inject some new blood into that type of character with She-Hulk and just sort of like, if this can for the Hulks do what Thor Ragnarok did for Thor, I think we could be in a good spot. And part of that is nobody really expected Thor Ragnarok to do that, right? So
No, yeah.
hopefully we get something similar here. If not, if it's just a fun time, sure. I'm
That's all it
down.
needs to be. Just fun.
Yeah. So I did like the trailer. Also, that Daredevil suit, red and yellow,
Yeah,
baby.
man. So cool.
I think it shows well on camera too, because we got a little tease of how the yellow's gonna look. It does not look as gaudy as I was expecting it to.
I was thinking that word. Good word.
Not as gauche.
Yeah. No, looks good from the little we saw.
So looking forward to that. And apparently he might have a larger role in that show than we're expecting. So curious. Far and away the better trailer. The better in the context of like all of Marvel. Wakanda Forever, the movie with the most troubled development from the MCU that we've seen in a long time, producing easily the best MCU trailer that I've seen in a long time, if not ever. I think.
It was very emotional. Like, just I had to watch it multiple times. I was like, oh wow. This I think easily jumped up to be my most anticipated Marvel movie, and I'm really glad about that because it's so soon, and it's not very far away. This is going to just be a very heartbreaking movie, I think, in a lot of ways. But it looks fantastic, and I'm very looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm a lot more positive now. I was very worried. I trust Ryan Coogler, but like, the man's been dealt a hand with this film, you know? I would not have put any blame on him if this did not turn out great. And it still couldn't. But Yeah, that trailer was incredible. Very excited to see how this shakes out. But dear Lord, whoever did that mashup sound mix of Bob Marley and Kendrick, like, award
Yeah.
now, please.
No, it's fantastic. And I imagine the soundtrack is going to be equally as good as the first movie was.
Oh yeah, I wonder if they get Kendrick back or if they have another person sign on to produce an album. But yeah,
Yeah.
the concept album was one of my favorite things about Black Panther.
Yeah, that was fantastic. But yeah, this movie just looks like visually it looks fantastic, but from everything we've seen in terms of like where the story's heading, sounds very interesting.
What I am concerned about, just off this trailer, because like we knew Namor was gonna be in it, we knew the Atlanteans. They're being renamed for the MCU. I forget what the name is, but I like maybe I never realized there would be like actual underwater stuff in this. I don't think, but rough to be releasing weeks before James Cameron's Avatar: The Way of Water.
Yes. I
That's
will
like
say though,
pioneering underwater filmmaking.
no, definitely. This from what we saw looks good.
Sure, yeah.
Maybe it's good that this is the first step.
Yeah, I think so.
So I won't have any comparisons. But like this is like the horizon to Avatar's Breath of the Wild, I
Yeah.
guess. But in that regard, but no, I really do think this movie looks fantastic. And this is one of those things that I don't want to see another trailer for this.
Yeah, I don't either. So, I honestly, well, we will for sure. Everybody's always like that. It's like, oh, maybe they won't do trailers for this one. They're going
No.
to.
They will, and it will be impossible to avoid.
Yeah. So, excited though.
Yes, absolutely. Excited for like a very sad, probably movie.
Oh yeah, tears.
Like
will be
very
shed.
emotional movie.
We'll move on in just a second. Do you think box office? Do you think this is going to be like one of the best of the MCU performance wise?
I think it will.
I think so too.
I wonder if this does. I don't know if it'll be that high. I wonder if it does like Spider-Man numbers.
Spider-Man was what?
Well, over $1 billion.
Yeah,
Wasn't Black Panther over $1 billion?
it had to have been.
I think this will certainly do better than that. And I wonder, I don't know. This movie's gonna mean a lot in the way that Black Panther did, but even more so. Let's see. Black Panther did 1.3 billion. I feel like this at least does 1.5 billion.
I was gonna say 1.7.
Yeah,
I think it gets close to 2 bill.
yeah. I kind of agree.
We'll see.
Yeah, I feel like this movie's gonna hit. Also, I suppose it also depends on like. I'm imagining this is just going to be a really good movie, but I suppose that also, like, if this ends up not being a great movie, that will take into account like the box office success.
Yeah. Very, very
yes.
curious.
So Spider-Man: No Way Home did 1.9 billion.
Okay.
I think it does come relatively close.
I think
this
has,
is a heavy hitter, though.
I
at
think
the
it
very
has
least.
room to be 2 bill. I think it has everything on the table for it to hit 2 billion.
Would love to see that.
Yeah. So, we shall see come November and honestly probably next year. Or hey, maybe maybe they do some wild stuff with box office the first weekend. I don't know.
Yeah,
So.
and I can't think of anything else coming out around that time.
Avatar: The Way of Water.
Yeah, but that's December, isn't it?
No, you're right. You're right. Maybe Black Adam, is that around
Yeah.
there?
I don't know.
Dude, I saw that trailer in front of Love and Thunder for the first time. Oof.
Looks like an early 2000s movie. Kind
It
of.
looks like a Phase 2 Marvel movie.
Yeah,
So,
not ideal.
no.
Kind of over the rock at this point. That's another conversation, though.
Yeah, he needs to cool for a little bit. Phase 5 kicks off in a couple months.
Yeah, what the hell?
February 17th, 2023, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Unfortunately, we did not get to see footage, but footage was shown out of this. We did see a poster. What are your initial thoughts on what we've heard of Quantumania this past week?
I'm excited. Loved Ant-Man and the Wasp. Even though it's like in the middle of my Marvel rankings, love that movie. That's one of those you can just kind of turn on and watch at any point. But excited for that. Seems like they're dealing with Scott writing a book and like also hosting a podcast, which I think we saw in Ms. Marvel, and like the characters were sort of giving him shit for that. But we get a lot of Kang, and apparently like Hall H got that footage of Kang and like hearing him speak.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be really interesting. It's so funny that like Kang is apparently now this really like the Thanos of this saga, and he's getting his real start. I know obviously Loki set him up, but he's getting his real start in an Ant-Man movie. That is funny to me.
Yeah, and it's strange because for a while I was fully convinced that Kang would not be the Thanos. I thought we'd get to Doom being the endgame villain. And I think with what's in front of us, like we could do that still, but I feel like part of the weight of Thanos is that we were building up to him for like 10 years, not 4 or 5, right?
Right.
Less so if Doom doesn't get introduced in this phase, right? So, yeah. The stuff they've heard and said out of Quantumania sounds interesting. I'm still bummed that they recast Cassie because just, dude, the Endgame, whoever played her in Endgame, I don't know her name, but she crushed that. That was the most emotional point of that movie before Tony died.
Mm-hmm. No,
So.
you're totally right.
Yeah. So, spring 2023 on Disney Plus, Secret Invasion, which was also shown some footage at Comic-Con, exclusive. Pitching it as a thriller.
I gotta be honest, I'm very worried about this one.
Really?
Yeah, I think the concept of this, I mean, this is gonna be a Disney Plus show, so like I'm very hit or miss on those at this point, and I feel like they're gonna do the whole Secret Invasion thing with characters that don't really matter, and like they're gonna be like, oh, this guy was a Skrull the whole time, and it's like, oh, that like agent from Shield, okay,
Coulson, Jack, he's important. Come on.
I really think it's gonna be like that. And I don't know. I don't like Secret Invasion seemed like it was a real like I read it. It seemed like it was a really big deal at the time. I feel like it's gonna only be within the show that Secret Invasion like takes place. Like there I feel like there won't be ramifications.
Yeah, I think this could be a case of how Civil War in the MCU was drastically different from what Secret Invasion was in the comics.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know what I mean?
No, I know what you mean.
Like, and if that's the case, I'd be cool with it, because Civil War, I think, is solid for how it works within the MCU compared to the comic run. So, yeah, maybe it could be... I don't know. I think there's probably a way you could do at least one really strong reveal of a Skrull, and I don't know what that would be, but I'm open to it. At the very least, if it's just like a spy thriller with Fury and Ben Mendelsohn, I'm down. I like their pair up. So
sure, that's good. We'll see. I don't know. The fact that we haven't seen much about this has me worried.
You know what we've seen a little bit of?
What's that?
Some exclusive SDCC footage of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 releasing May 5th, 2023. Baby Rocket, dude, this movie's going to be... I'm going to need tissues. Lots of tissues in that theater.
This is going to be so sad.
I know.
But, like, I feel like a happy kind of sad, maybe.
I hope.
I feel like for the most part, every Guardians character will have a happy ending.
I hope so.
That would be sad otherwise.
Yeah, and like, there's been a lot of quotes. There's been some talk, James Gunn talking, very vocal that he believes that characters don't need to die for something to end.
Yeah.
I know Chris Pratt has been like saying some things of like, hey, if I know they're doing multiverse stuff, and if there's a way for me to be around, no matter what happens, I would like to be around. So I think there's a chance that the Guardians don't all die, but I still think this movie's going to be real sad.
Yep. I would say this is my number 2 most excited that we got.
Yeah, I think this is still my number 1 considering my top 2 of the MCU. But yeah, everything I'm hearing so far is great. And just, again, the fact that James Gunn got to come back and close it out the way he wanted to is makes me happy.
Yeah. Years in the making.
Yeah, holy shit, dude.
Remember like 2018?
Yeah, I do.
That's like that started then, and then he's like, I gotta go do some DC stuff, then I'll come back. This is that. Took years.
So, I think the trailer's probably. I bet the trailer releases with Wakanda Forever because the reasoning that it didn't get out to us is because James Gunn said some of the effects in the trailer weren't ready.
Okay.
So I bet by then we get a Guardians trailer on that Wakanda Forever release.
Yeah, sure.
So, following that up, summer 2023, Echo.
I have next to nothing to say about this.
Me either. I hope it's good.
Yep.
Also in summer 2023, Loki Season 2.
Kind of similar. Excited for this. Really liked Loki. I hope what they introduce at the end of the show like kind of matters more so outside of the show than just inside of the show, because we haven't really gotten that yet. But I mean, obviously season 2 will pick up on that, and this is the first season 2, I think, for a Disney Plus show, so that's cool.
For Marvel, yeah, absolutely. This is the first one.
Excluding What If.
Yes. Well, What If Season 2 is... That's not this year, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, because this might end up being the first Season 2.
Yeah.
For Marvel, but...
Right.
Speaking of Marvel, The Marvels, July 28th, 2023, reiterating that date. Summer blockbuster.
Definitely. Hyped for this, especially after Ms. Marvel.
Oh, for sure. I cannot wait. November 3rd, 2023. The first announced Phase 5 project going to be the 7th released Phase 5 project.
Yep.
Blade.
Great fall vibes.
Oh, yeah.
Like, real close to like Halloween. This is a great release.
Yeah. I bet they wanted November or October, but they needed that extra week, I guess. I don't know.
Sure.
Because November 3rd is the week of Halloween. It's that Friday. Ooh, Jack, maybe we get Avengers with it, and in like September they're like, Mahershala Ali is like, you wanted it, we heard you. Blade's releasing Tuesday, Halloween.
Yeah. Also, this timeline is certainly not final. This will be changed.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You hear about all these new viruses popping up? Things are gonna go down.
Yep.
Fall 2023, continuing on, we have Ironheart, which is going to be probably picking up from when Riri Williams is introduced in Wakanda Forever this year. She was showcased in that trailer, looking buff.
Yes.
Smacking out some Iron Man armor.
Yeah, really excited to see that character in Wakanda Forever, so hyped to follow up on that later.
For sure. And just because of the way Riri Williams has been talked about being introduced in the MCU for a while, I think this is probably a good point to bring this up. Armor Wars?
Yes.
MIA.
That is MIA. It seems like maybe it'll be slotted in Phase 6 somewhere.
Maybe?
That was odd.
Yeah.
I don't know what the deal is with that.
I texted you this. I could see the plot of that be brushed into any one of the other greater MCU ramification projects, right? Like
Thunderbolts, maybe?
Thunderbolts, I think. Like, why would you need to assemble a team? Because Russia has Iron Mans now. Like, maybe that's it, right?
Yeah, maybe. That's odd. It's sad because I want to see Don Cheadle really, like, to have his own series.
Well, I know we're skipping ahead to Thunderbolts, so I'll put a pin in this, and we can come back to it later, but I think maybe there's a way to work that in.
Sure.
Winter 23/2024. Agatha, new name, Coven of Chaos. How do you like the name change?
It's fine. I think they wanted to go with some alliteration here.
Yeah.
Missed opportunity that they didn't announce that Elizabeth Olsen would be returning here.
Yeah.
I would imagine she is,
Mm-hmm.
but they didn't say that.
Maybe the contract is still in negotiations, and maybe we get that announcement at either Disney Plus Day or D23, whatever's happening in a couple months.
Sure.
So the real deal, though.
Yeah, man.
I miswrote the year, but spring 2024. Daredevil Born Again.
What a
With the
great choice.
great choice, but with the most simple font I've seen in my life.
Yes. This is definitely like Sony era, like 2000s.
Yeah,
This will change, I'm sure.
So I wonder, now that I'm thinking about it actively, I wonder if the font change was to get away from the iconic Daredevil thing that was used for Netflix, because this is the soft reboot.
Yeah,
Maybe. But yeah, Christ.
Dude, literally 18 episodes.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. By Disney Plus standards, that's 3 seasons, Jack.
Yes. Dude, that makes me really excited. It harkens back to, first of all, regular television, but secondly, like the Daredevil we got with Netflix, that was 13 episodes. So I'm like slightly worried it's a little too long, but
Sure.
I think it gives it some time to be like, hey, do we want to structure this as like a 3-act, 6-episode thing? But also have room for, which I think is important, to have just like filler episodes here and there. I feel like filler episodes stand out a lot when you have like a 6-episode show or like a 8 or 9-episode show, and it's like, why did we deviate? Like that's a poor use of our time. But if you have an 18-episode show, like you kind of have time to do that, so that will be fun.
Yeah, and as much as I love Daredevil on Netflix, and as soon as they announce it is officially fully MCU canon, it is skyrocketing to #1, I think with the 12 episodes, roughly, that they had per season, like, it felt like they wanted to have some slow burn episodes, but they didn't have enough room to have them be meaningful, other than just being like, what was the point of this, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So hopefully, like you're saying, with the 18, that works out. Charlie Cox confirmed. I think Vincent D'Onofrio is also confirmed. I don't know who else. I would hope that Karen and Foggy come back.
Yeah, man. Gotta get him back.
Yeah, you got to. Have to.
Avocados at law.
Yeah, man. Can't wait. I want to rewatch it again.
Yep.
So, last question before moving on. Do you think that because of what we're talking about with Marvel Zombies, and now that Logan and Deadpool are on here, can Daredevil be TVMA? We have Blade in Phase 5 before this, potentially maybe the first rated R MCU film. Is this TVMA?
I would say so the Netflix one was TVMA.
Mm-hmm.
I think they will. At the very least, it'll be TV 14 or whatever. It'll be fine, but I would certainly hope it's TVMA. I really don't think the first Daredevil show, apart from like a couple scenes, really went like that deep in terms of like, wow, that was really graphic. I feel like it was mostly like Matt getting really screwed up, and that was kind of it. But yeah, I feel like I would hope they continue that.
Yeah, I would hope so too. I think it's. I feel more confident than ever about this right now. About it being MA. So. After that, May 3rd, 2024. What, this is going to be 3 years after his introduction as Captain America. Sam Wilson returns, and Captain America: New World Order.
Yeah, man, this is really exciting, and I feel like this one gets kind of lost in the shuffle. But having like a whole ass Captain America movie again, ooh, that's exciting.
Hell yeah, dude! Cannot wait. Wonder if we get Cap or Bucky in anything else before then, but for sure that's gonna be a big day. May 3rd too. Right as summer's hitting. Oh boy.
That's something I noticed too. Like, it seems like there's a lot of characters that are gonna go a couple phases without having something, unless they pop in. Like, where's Shang-Chi? You know,
That's a good point.
or like any of the Eternals. Not that I want to see them, but Like, that's something that struck me as a little strange.
Maybe some of them show up in the end of Phase 5 team-up movie, July 26, 2024, Thunderbolts.
Can I say how not excited I am for this movie?
Really?
Yeah, man.
Dude,
Doesn't do it for me.
Bucky's gonna be here. We gonna have John Walker maybe doing some stuff. Yelena?
No, not doing it for me.
No?
I'm really over the whole Suicide Squad thing. And I know like this is kind of different, but it's kind of not. I'm done. I'm done with that. I'm over it.
I'm not a massive fan of the James Gunn Suicide Squad, so I would not be surprised if Marvel ends up making the best Suicide Squad movie.
Sure. I get that.
Yeah. End of a phase, too. Big deal.
Yeah. Man, that's a weird end to the phase.
I know. It's very strange.
It feels like I get like Black Panther being the end of Phase 4. I'm fine with. I get it's not like an Avengers thing, but whatever. Thunderbolts being the end feels dirty.
Yeah. What I was gonna say on pinning this, William Hurt, who plays Thunderbolt Ross, who the team is named after, has passed away. So what if the Iron Man Armor Wars threat is the threat of this film, and instead of military man Thunderbolt Ross heading up the team, we have military man James Rhodes leading the team.
Like the dude from Suicide Squad. Rick Flag.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I get that. But again, that's just Suicide Squad.
It is, but man, Rhodey being a leading man would be fun. You know?
Yes. Oh man, I really want him to have his own sort of thing, or take like a really leading role.
Yeah.
So that'd be cool.
I'm sure he will eventually, you know,
Yes.
in some way or another. But that's it. And then Phase 6, we have 3 projects announced. We have November 8th, kicking it off. Like, so much of Phase 5 is 2024, and then we have Phase 6 starting the same year. Fantastic Four, currently without a director. And then there's a couple other dates sprinkled in that are not filled currently, but the next 2 dates are May 2nd, 2025, Avengers: The Kang Dynasty, directed by Destin Daniel Cretton, who did Shang-Chi, is also working on some spin-off thing for Disney+. Then November 7th, 2025, we have Avengers: Secret Wars. So 2 Avengers films in 1 calendar year.
Hell yeah. That feels... I feel like that's a pipe dream. I feel like I don't see 2 Avengers movie coming out in the same year. I feel like Secret Wars might get pushed. But I also think the Kang Dynasty will be retitled. Similar to how like Infinity War was Part 1 and Part 2.
Yeah.
I don't know. Kang Dynasty doesn't sound like a great title to me.
It's got Age of Ultron vibes, right?
It does. It really does.
But that's the thing that I'm curious about, dude, because I really still think that, like, there's rumors that maybe Doctor Doom gets shown up in something soon. Like, Secret Wars is everybody, and Doom is heavily involved in Secret Wars as far as I know. So, like...
Yeah. I read the first page of Secret Wars, and Doctor Doom is, like, there. He is the guy.
So I still think Doom is going to be the Thanos, but the fact that there's 2 Avengers movies in 1 year is nuts.
Yeah. That seems unbelievable. I wonder, like, how that'll affect the box office. Like, are people going to be like, I just saw that one? Like,
maybe, yeah.
You know? But, I mean, we're going years without having seen an Avengers movie. What a great choice, by the way. Like, obviously, we're used to having Avengers movie be, like, the end of a phase. Great choice of having us not have one for quite some time. Yeah,
I think Avengers: Kang Dynasty is going to be a huge, like a big deal when it hits finally, hopefully. Plus, the fact that the Shang-Chi director is doing this gives me hope that Shang-Chi himself will be featured heavily. Big role for Simu Liu. Maybe he's sort of like in Avengers 1, how we follow Bruce Banner at the beginning for like a good chunk of setup of that film. maybe because, playing favorites, they've worked together before. We get Shang-Chi highlighted at the beginning of the Kang Dynasty. That'd be very, very cool. Because as you said, we do not get Shang-Chi 2 unless it is filling in one of those unplaced dates, which it probably will.
Yeah.
We don't get Shang-Chi for a while.
That's the thing. Like, there's some characters we just don't see in these phases.
Ms. Marvel?
Yeah, like we see her in the Marvels, but I don't know, feels kind of odd in some ways. Or like they're going to be like supporting characters in these shows, which is fine, but like you're introducing so many characters, so I guess that kind of has to make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Shang-Chi will probably be one of the Untitled projects. I'm kind of thinking we get a Mutants thing as well. That seems like they'd be pretty integral to Secret Wars.
You would think, but I think there's also a possibility that since this is officially titled the Multiverse Saga, Jack, I don't see a single project that is multiverse screaming out at me right now. So maybe they just bring in Hugh Jackman finally. I don't know.
I feel like Secret Wars, I'm worried about Secret Wars in the same way I was worried about Doctor Strange and Spider-Man. That's the new worry for me now. I don't know. I feel like this is just one of those things. That's one of those movies where people are going to have like the most lofty of expectations. And I'm worried that Marvel is going to be like, all right, fine. We'll have the actors from the original Fantastic Four come in this movie. It's like, no, don't do that. Please don't do that.
Well, I think the tricky thing is, because we have 12 projects per phase after what we just went through. For everything other than the fact that this is not a 10-year phase or saga, Avengers Secret Wars is the next Endgame.
Yeah.
That's it.
That feels weird.
I know.
Like, the phases now being 1 to 2 years is very odd. Like, in that time, Iron Man and Iron Man 2 came out.
I know. Well, the weird thing is there's Phase 4 has more hours than everything combined because of the shows, right? So,
yes.
It's so strange. They're able to establish so much more, but it feels like we're speeding, right?
Yes, it does. There's no, I feel like having the Infinity Saga be 10 years felt like there was time to breathe. Even though there weren't that many projects, it felt like that time had passed because it had literally been a decade.
For sure. So I'm very curious to see how that shakes out in the coming years. Looking for hopefully some clarity on these other projects filling in. Like we know Deadpool is in development. Where does that fall? Not a single goddamn Spider-Man film for an entire saga. Except for the beginning of Phase 4, I guess, technically. But still.
I think there will be. I just don't think they're allowed to. I don't think Disney is allowed to make that announcement. And we also don't have a firm confirmation about. I don't think. Was Homecoming ever on the.
I thought No Way Home was announced at the 2019 thing. Not the title, but a Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it wasn't.
I don't remember. I should go back.
I'll look up the timeline.
Okay.
That they announced in 2019.
Again, with Secret Wars, I'm under the assumption they want Miles Morales in that thing.
Yeah, right.
Are we going to get a Spider-Man 4 of Peter just being by himself, finally? Or is it going to be building... Maybe it's like Spider-Man PS4, where Miles is there, and then the stinger is he gets bit. And I guess you could still slot that in Phase 6 somewhere from the lead up of 4 months before an Avengers movie to do a new Spider-Man thing. I don't know, man.
I sent you the image from 2019. It does not appear that Spider-Man is on there.
That is a good point. I am no longer worried.
I feel like we'll get a Spider-Man movie. Dude, we gotta be getting a Spider-Man movie soon.
We better. We just had one less than a year ago.
Yeah, and I feel like they're gonna be like, well, we need to cash in on this instantly. So, yeah. I feel like 2020, what is it, 2022? 2024, we'll probably get a Spider-Man movie.
Hope so.
I guess that's Phase 6, now that I'm thinking about it.
Depends on when they slot it in, but yeah.
True. It could... What's open? Could they do... I mean, they could do a winter 2023. I mean, No Way Home did very well at the Christmas time slot. That seems like a really quick turnaround, though.
Maybe it is September of 2024, and it's called Spider-Man Back to School.
Yeah.
Spider-Man Moving Day. I don't know. Dorm City. I don't know, man.
Sure.
Anyway, what your favorite announcement out of the Far Out stuff? Like Black Panther aside, because that's this year.
Yeah.
Most exciting thing on this list?
Probably, like, of stuff that we didn't know. I would say probably Daredevil.
Yeah, it's Daredevil, dude.
That's got to be I mean, we knew there was going to be a Daredevil thing, but the fact that they called it Born Again, which is great because I had never read the comics, but it's an illusion of that. It's an illusion of, like, Christianity, which is funny, like, tying into his character. And then it's also just an allusion to the fact that the show is coming back. Smartly titled. Love it. It's very exciting. We are certainly living in the Daredevil renaissance.
Hell yeah.
We're just being really rewarded for being fans of Daredevil.
I know.
And I think
so
that's
nice.
awesome.
Yeah. Daredevil for sure is my favorite thing here. Interested about the Avengers strategy. We'll see how that pans out. But yeah, I cannot wait for Daredevil to come back. And we're not going to have to wait too long because She-Hulk starts in a couple weeks. So
Yep.
Exciting times. But that is SDCC 2022, the Marvel Roundup. Last question, Jack. Do you feel better about Marvel today than you did I guess after Ms. Marvel? But maybe before, because that's when it was a bit more shaky.
I do. I do like having... I love the timeline, dude. I said last week, like, I really wanted Kevin Feige to show up with that timeline. He showed up... Basically a timeline and a half, which is pretty sweet. Like, all of Phase 5 and, like, a little bit of Phase 4. A little bit of Phase 6. That's fantastic. I like knowing officially that we're in the Multiverse Saga and where we're heading. I like having, like, this is, like, going to be the finale of it. That's fantastic. I mean, Phase 4 has been, like, the most hit or miss phase, but the fact that we know what's coming in the next two phases has me pretty hopeful. So, yeah, feeling better. What about you?
Yeah, I feel excited again. Like, Ms. Marvel rejuvenated my passion, I guess, for Marvel. And seeing this has me feeling more confident about the future than I was a few months ago. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm very curious and concerned to see how an expedited phase goes, which feels essentially what, like, Saga, I keep saying it's a phase. A saga in half the time as the last one would double the content, twice the pride, double the fall. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, good event. Hopefully we get some more information out of the upcoming events like D23 or an investor day, but feeling good. So, are you more tired now or more tired thinking about watching all these things again?
That's the thing, man.
That is the thing, and we will for sure be covering all of it. But until then, Jack, where can the agents of Excelsior find you?
Yes, you can find me on social media at Fascinated Jack. What about you?
You can find me on Twitter, TikTok at Shuntd2. You can find the show, Twitter, at ExcelsiorJC. You can find the show on YouTube, youtube.com/joyclicks. Every weekend, video version goes up. Audio version is in the description of the video version and tweeted out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Just look up Excelsior, Joyclicks, Marvel's Avengers Game Podcast, or anything like that. You will find us. Rating and reviewing is a quick way to help the show. Free and easy. If you enjoy it, helps us find more people. If you want to support the shows monetarily, you can do so by going to patreon.com/joyclicks at the $1 and $5 tiers. $5 will give you producer credit on every show we produce, like Aaron Easton and Jose Garcia. So thank you very much. And that is this week's Excelsior. What a full course, several courses we've had. We'll see what happens next week. But until then, Excelsior.
Excelsior.